What up, ladies and gents? It's your favorite Asian robot right here, and hopefully I will be your favorite content creator for the First Descendant. I even have my own Nexon creator code, okay? You'll see it right there in the upper left-hand corner. You'll be able to input this code whenever you make purchases of premium currency in the game, all right? Whenever you're buying stuff or whatever, and it's not gonna cost you anything extra. Nexon's gonna pay me. So use my code, all right? It'll show that you support me, and it'll show that you love the content that I make. All right, now today we're going to be talking about the recent dev talk released where the devs talk about personal unique strategy. What does personal unique strategy mean? It means that they're going to go through the process of how you can make so many unique builds in this game. There is, as far as I can tell, no real focus on a meta. Rather, they are focusing on having a variety of viable builds for each Descendant. In fact, this is even better than Warframe because at the time that I played, there was like 1 or 2 viable builds for each Warframe, and that was about it. This looks like there may be more than that. Now, there may be some builds that are, of course, a higher tier than others, and invariably they will be compared, but having variety is great because it means that it can cater to each individual's playstyle. Some people, no matter how S-tier a build may be, cannot go into that playstyle. They cannot get into that playstyle. They need something different. This looks like it's going to show you something different. So let's go through the video. It is in Korean, but don't worry. I'll be speaking in English and I'll be talking you through certain points that they make. Take a look because it's seriously awesome. All right. And there's a hidden little gem in there. All right. Which I'll be talking about in my next video. Now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's get going.
카렐이 이끄는 벌거스 군단과 계승자의 전쟁이 깊어지는 가운데 퍼스트 디센던트는 나만의 전략을 만들 수 있는 다양한 선택지를 제공합니다. 저마다의 개성 있는 스킬을 가진 계승자 캐릭터, 궁극 무기의 고유 능력, 외장 부품의 세트 효과, 모듈과 랜덤 옵션까지 선택의 연속이죠.
우리는 플레이어가 자유로운 방식으로 원하는 캐릭터를 선택하고 꿈꿔왔던 판타지를 달성하도록 하고 싶었습니다.
다양한 시스템으로 캐릭터를 성장시킬 수 있죠. 우리는 깜짝 놀랄 준비를 하고 있습니다. 플레이어들을 통해 우리가 상상.
Okay, one thing which I liked, which was already mentioned, is the fact that they want players to forge their own path. This is really interesting to me because they're saying that right from the outset, their focus is on playstyle, variety. This is extremely important because the games like Helldivers have literally failed because players will always seek a meta. I myself always will publish and talk about metas in games because this is what gamers are looking for. Sometimes you just want to beat a game, you're looking for that meta. Okay, fine. But I also like to cover variety, and quite frankly, Helldivers has disappointed on that on so many fronts because no matter what, I was not able to bring out videos about variety. Rather, I was stuck just talking about meta. Not always very good, but let's carry on, shall we?
하지도 못했던 새로운 전략이 등장할 거라는 생각에 벌써부터 설렙니다. 지난 테스트에 참여했다면 이 화면이 익숙할 거예요. 계승자들이 각자의 매력을 뽐내며 선택을 기다리고 있죠.
지난 테스트에서 11명의 계승자와 2명의 얼티밋 계승자를
Okay, wait, I'm going to pause that for a second just to let you know. The first step in anything is selecting your Descendant. But although they just said this is about selecting the Descendant, there is a little bit more than that you guys have to understand. The Descendant becomes the base for your entire build. It becomes the basis upon which you're going to build everything. This is going to be covered very shortly, but pretty much you have to start with the choice of who am I going to play? What role does that character have? What are the things that we are covering? Well, that I will be covering as an official Nexon creator is what role does each Descendant have? As we go through the game teaching players how to earn each Descendant for free, I am going to cover, how do you earn this Descendant? How do you use this Descendant? What is this Descendant's role in a team? And ultimately, when we understand all of that, we can figure out where each Descendant belongs. Let's carry on.
선보였습니다.
버니는 빠르게 움직여 전기력을 만들어냅니다. 전기력을 주변에 발산하거나 한 점으로 집중하여 적에게 강력한 전기 데미지를 입힐 수 있습니다. 하지만 뭐니 해도 버니의 트레이드 마크는 빠른 속도로 달리며 전기력을 만들어내는 광속 질주입니다. 벨비는 언제 어디서든 물로 변해 물 웅덩이를 만들어낼 수 있습니다.
So they're talking about Bunny
물
and
위에서
Balbi?
더 적은 정신력으로 스킬을 사용할 수도 있죠. 적진 한복판에 물 웅덩이를 만들어 순식간에 이동하거나 액체화로 벌거스 사이를 헤집고 다닐 수도 있습니다.
그리고 런칭에는 새로운 계승자가 등장합니다.
에시모는 땀 한 방울조차도 위험한 폭발물 그 자체입니다. 에시모가 재채기를 하는 것만으로 폭발이 일어날 수 있지만 슈트가 위험을 억제하고 있습니다. 에시모는 적이나 지형에 점착폭탄을 붙여놓고 원하는 때에 터뜨릴 수도 있죠. 지뢰를 매설할 수도 있어 미리 적의 동선을 파악해 함정을 놓고 적을 기다리는 캐릭터입니다. 던플레이를 중심으로 게임을 즐기고 싶다면
Okay, so I have to say, these are the new Descendants being introduced. These were not in the betas, so although they will be in at launch, okay? So even for those people who have already experienced certain characters in the betas, there are new interesting things already coming. I can't believe that they're already dropping content before even launch. Like I said, this is worthy of its own video covering it. That's probably going to come tomorrow. I'm just excited to see all this because holy cow, this is going to be really interesting. I love the explosive character, although it reminds me a little bit of Borai Cho with the way he runs, but very interesting. A little bit of Junkrat in there, placing mines, that kind of thing. It seems very, very interesting, and it might bring some pretty interesting playstyles, especially for certain missions where you have to defend or hold areas. He could be very useful for holding or zoning off areas. I look forward to seeing this in action. Anyway, let's carry on.
엔조를 추천합니다. 엔조는 다른 계승자보다
Oh, this guy looks
탄약
cool.
보급의 우월함을 가지고 있죠. 엔조는
Oh, man, he's an
무기고의
arsenal,
탄약과
isn't he?
폭격 지원 드론을 주변에 소환할 수 있습니다. 더 큰 다른 것을 소환할 수 있었다면 어땠을까요? 코옵을 좋아하는 플레이어에게 유지는 완벽한 선택이죠. 유지는 스쿼드를 치유하고 강화하는 전형적인 힐러입니다. 힐러로서 제이버의
it's a
완벽한
combat medic.
상위 호환이죠. 유진과 함께 무격전에 참여해보세요. 스쿼드의 전략이 완전히 달라질 것입니다.
모든 전략은 계승자를 선택하는 것부터 시작합니다. 계승자의 스킬과 궁합이 좋은 궁극 무기와 세트 외장 부품, 반응로를 고르는 것이 핵심이죠.
Okay, so before we go into the ultimate weapon section, one thing which I do want to say is that there are 3 new Descendants coming. Yujin, which is a combat medic, I think he's going to become kind of necessary for the hardest content because seeing that he could, now I saw in that video, and of course the video link is in the description of the video if you want to watch it yourself, but I kind of saw in that video that he had a cleanse type ability, which looked really interesting. Being able to cleanse debuffs on your team has always been a big factor in MMORPGs, and usually that character, at least one person in the team, that becomes a must pick. So Yujin looked really, really interesting. On top of that, we have Enzo, who seemed to be able to summon ammo. This is something that would be really, really helpful in Void Intercept fights. It may not be helpful in other game modes, but that one looked really cool. If he can supply your team with ammunition, especially for your so-called heavy weapons, that might actually swing some fights around. So Enzo also looks like a really, really good supporter. And of course, the explosive type character, that guy looked amazing, all right? Looks a little bit like Pervy Sage running around though, but I liked him. So his role might be more in like the defense operations, things like that. But I like the fact that every Descendant has their role. Remember, the start of your build is the Descendant. Everything starts with the Descendant, the playstyle you want, the basic abilities give you the baseline, and then you build up from there. And here is the next section where they're going to talk about how you're going to build up from there. Ultimate weapons are the next step. After you've chosen your Descendant's going to need some ultimate weapons, right? Check out this section of the video. 11 was in the open. Really interesting weapons were showcased just there. The first is Reverse Fate, where if it's used against an enemy with a full shield, it will trigger an interesting ability. This I really like the idea of because, quite frankly, if you are going to use something like that, it's going to really help because a lot of enemies have heavy shields, and having to chew through that first can be problematic. If Reverse Fate can save me the trouble, it might make certain speed run type ideas very possible. On top of that, we've got the Restored Relic, which had guided missiles, and it looked to be in the heavy weapon slot. This one's also going to be really interesting because, you know, bombarding an entire horde of enemies. I can think of a few situations where that would be useful, but it would depend on which Descendant actually needs it. Looks like it might be an Ajax weapon, but we'll see. We'll see, all right? Let's carry on.
세트 외장 부품은 빌드의 활용 정점입니다. 완벽한 빌드를 구현하려면 마지막은 세트 외장 부품으로 마무리해야 합니다.
이 랩픽을 보세요. 호화 스킬을 무한으로 사용합니다. 이 빌드를 만들려면 학살자 세트 외장 부품이 꼭 필요합니다. 학살자 4세트 효과를 맞추면 견인 상태의 적을 처치할 때 정신력을 회복할 수 있습니다. 랩픽의 견인 수류탄과 콤비네이션으로 무한 포화 빌드를 구현할 수도 있죠. 이런저런 조합을 테스트해.
Okay, so there are certain set effects that y'all may be aware of. I got a chance to experiment with this in a limited capacity during the open beta and the technical test. But what they tried to showcase there was that certain components that you can place on your Descendant will create set effects. And if you have the right set effects, well, your Descendant gets to go wild. What was shown there is the infinite ultimate ability of Lepic, where when you pull enemies in with his traction grenade, think Valbin from Warframe, all right, enemies get pulled in, you restore mana, and you use mana for overkill, which is your ultimate, so you can basically turn it on and go crazy. You just keep throwing your traction grenade, and your overkill just goes. It gives you quite an interesting ability because basically, until every enemy's dead, you know, you pull them all in until every enemy's dead, you can fire and fire and fire, which is really, really cool. So the fact that there are builds like this available and the fact that they are leaning into the power fantasy for gamers is already amazing because these guys want you to be strong. They want you to be powerful. You're coming into this to get that power fantasy. And I love that. All right, let's carry on.
해보고 있었어요. 지금 확인하고 있는 건 버니의 무한질주 세팅이죠. 생체 연료 개조 모드를 사용하면 광속 질주를 사용할 때 정신력 대신 체력을 소모하게 되죠. 그래서 압도적 체력 모듈로 최대 체력을 늘리는 세팅을 해봤습니다. 버니의 광속 질주를 멈추지 않을 방법을 찾아보는 중인데요. 조금 부족한 것 같아요. 체력 수집가를 더해볼까요? 적 처치할 때 체력 회복을 할 수 있으면 더 좋을 것 같은데요.
계승자의 스킬과 궁극무기, 세트 외장 부품으로 빌드의 컨셉을 잡았다면 빌드의 완성은 모듈로 이뤄냅니다. 모듈은 세팅의 모든 것이죠. First Descendant의 세팅은 조합으로 완성되기 때문에 무궁무진한 자유도를 가집니다. 그만큼 예측하기 어렵죠. 그래서 모듈을 만든 전투팀도 어떤 조합이 나올 수 있을지 계속 실험을 해봐야 했습니다.
하지만 세팅에 제약이 아예 없는 것은 아니죠. 수용량이라는 자원 안에서 전략을 짜야 합니다. 수용량이 부족하면 에너지 활성체로 최대 수용량을 늘릴 수 있죠. 하지만 이것도 부족하기 때문에 소켓 타입 부여까지 활용해야 합니다. 모듈과 소켓의 문양을 맞추면 수용량을 절감할 수 있기 때문에
So what this is showing you is that in the game, you'll be able to create and earn. Now, remember, although there may be starter packs that may have some of these, the primary method of getting these crystallization catalysts, think the same as Warframe, where you would add a particular type to a slot. This helps to reduce the module cost by about half. This allows you to jam twice as many modules in a build than you would normally be able to do so. So you can't just increase the capacity of your Descendant, you'll actually have to also start thinking about the type of slots you want on the Descendant. How do you make the builds as cheaply as possible, but also as good as possible? These are the things that we will personally be going through because it's going to be important. Ultimately, it's going to be important to your Descendant to have all these things ready. So how to get crystallization catalysts, all these, they'll be covered in my videos. My team, my crew, my community will be looking into that from day one, and we'll try our best to get that information to you guys ASAP. However, there's also a library in game, which will be talked about a little later, that'll teach you exactly where to find the components. So honestly, it should not be too difficult. All right. So what we will be looking at is not really how to find the components, but how difficult it is to actually create the crystallization catalyst. So let's carry on. And I need to alt tab. There we go. Growth system.
플레이어는 성장하기 위해 여러 가지 시스템을 사용해야 합니다.
스킬의 위력을 강화하려면 우선 반응로부터 신경을 써야 합니다. 가장 먼저 챙길 건 최적화죠. 레벨이 낮은 반응로라도 무기, 속성, 아르케타입을 잘 맞추고 있으면 훨씬 강력한 위력을 발휘합니다. 하지만 이전 오픈 베타에서는 최적화를 맞췄을 때 위력이 얼마나 강해지는지 알 수 없었죠. 저는 계산기를 옆에 놓고 플레이를 했어요. 이번에는 위력 증가를 툴팁에 바로 알아볼 수 있게 개선했습니다. 여러분은 그저 파밍하고 비교하고 위력이 높은 반응로를 장착하기만 하면 되죠. 이게 다가 아닙니다. 궁극 무기는 보유 능력을 강화할 수 있습니다. 아니면 랜덤 모션을 재조정해서 내 전략에 딱 맞게 세팅해 보세요. 마음에 드는 무기가 레벨이 낮다고요? 레벨 전승이 있습니다. 무기의 레벨을 높일 수 있죠.
Okay, there are two systems shown here that I just want to quickly talk about. Number one is the fact that you can level up weapons. So when you create an ultimate weapon, it will start at level 1. As you progress through the game, you are going to get higher and higher level equipment, and your ultimate weapon cannot keep up, right? So what you will do is you will transfer equipment that you find in the field or farm in the field, and you'll transfer that to your ultimate equipment, bringing it up to par with that level of content. You will have to do this consistently throughout the game. One of the things that I'll be doing is covering how difficult is this material to earn, because you are going to need time to construct it, number one, and then you are also going to need, to build it, use it, bring all your stuff there. So we will most likely be trying our very best to rush toward the end game so that we can get all of that done and so that we can showcase to you how difficult or easy it might be to earn. That being said, there are also a couple of other things that you need to take into account. Being able to adjust the random options on weapons. What are random options? Okay, every weapon will come with a set of options that you can sort of roll for. These are the randomized rolls, and instead of having to farm a whole new weapon, you can just re-roll the ones on the weapon that you already farmed and that you already enjoy. These randomized rolls will affect the ultimate damage that the weapon can deal and how it actually works in the field. All right, DPS is not the only measure of power, because sometimes you have to take into account, is the weapon's random rolls suitable for the content? One great example of this is when you're dealing with the Void Intercept battles, the Void Intercept bosses have certain elemental weaknesses. Even if your weapon is great in the field, it might not function so great when facing those bosses. Why? Because the weapon is not designed with that, like it may not have rolled that random elemental bonus, therefore contributing to lower DPS overall, which can actually lose you the fight in the harder game modes. This is why it is crucial to understand the Void bosses, understand the Void bosses, and also to understand how you can roll your weapon to get the kind of results that you want. All right? Okay, great.
모듈은 분해해서
I fumbled my
재료를
speech so
얻을
much.
수
I'm
있고
sorry.
강화해서 성능을 향상시킬 수도 있습니다.
First Descendant는 재료를 모으고 차곡차곡 성장해가는 그라인딩 게임입니다. 성장하기 위해 월드 곳곳에서 플레이해야 하고 온갖 재료를 수집해야 하죠.
성장과 시스템이 긴밀하게 엮여 있기 때문에 편의성을 위한 다양한 기능이 준비되어 있습니다. 그중 정보 열람은 너무 중요한 시스템이죠. 플레이어가 성장하는 데 필요한 재료, 모듈, 외장 부품, 제작 재료를 어디서 얻을 수 있는지 정보를 제공합니다. 정보 열람에서 세팅에 필요한 모든 것을 찾아보세요. 아니면 정보 열람에서 모든 모듈과 외장 부품, 궁극 무기를 확인해 보세요. 정보 열람을 길잡이 삼아 여러분의 전략을 완성할 수 있을 겁니다.
잉그리스는 지금 전쟁을 끝내기 위해 영웅적인 계승자의 등장을 기다리고 있습니다.
여러분의 상상력이 필요한 순간입니다. 계승자의 스킬, 궁극 무기, 세트 외장 부품, 모듈로 무엇을 할 수 있을지 상상해 보세요.
나만의 전략을 만들고 파워 판타지를 실현하십시오.
그럼 First Descendant의 세계에서 여러분의 계승자와 만날 시간을 기대하고 있겠습니다.
I absolutely love this. That was an amazing presentation and quite frankly, a really, really good one. So what have we learned through this experience and through this video? Number one, we have learned that I'm a content creator for this game. Okay, I'm joking. But what I am going to do is I'm probably going to remove my creator code a little bit lower so that, it doesn't bother you guys. Sorry, I'm just going to shift that there. Okay, so we have learned that there are going to be a variety of ways that you can play this game. Everything starts, a quick summary of this, everything starts with the Descendant you choose. The Descendant has a few baseline skills that will define what you want to do with that Descendant and your role in the team. After that, you want to grow that role and expand it so that your Descendant can either do that role more effectively or perhaps branch out to have a more well-rounded approach. These are all possibilities. Then you choose your ultimate weapon. Your ultimate weapon sets your overall playstyle. Like, is your main role Horde Clear? You might want to go for the Thunder Cage and Bunny. And then if your main role is Elite Killer, you might want to go with Kyle and something else. These are all possibilities that we are going to be looking at as soon as the game drops. Me and my community beyond this, I can't wait to make these videos for you guys. It's going to be an amazing experience. Add to that set effects of the external components. All right, you can create so many cool sets and you have so many different abilities that will give you all sorts of viability in the game. You can also understand that where to find all these components, all that kind of stuff, because there's an in-game library. The game is not going to try and hide information from you or make it difficult to find. This is a grinding game, but the focus of this game is on loot, power fantasy, and upgrading yourself. The game is going to tell you straight up, okay, you go here and you can get this. You go here and you can get that. You go there, you farm, you enjoy the content. Your focus is not only on your build, but also on enjoying the content. And that's something that I absolutely love about this. This is insane. I cannot wait to stream this game. I hope you guys will support me. All right. Again, it's not going to cost you anything extra. Just use my code whenever you make purchases in the game, and I'll be very grateful to you because Nexon will pay me, and then I'll just keep making and churning out more content for you guys. Expect a video on First Descendant every day up until the launch of this game. All right, it is launching in 4 days as at the time of the release of this video, so look forward to it. We'll be there day one. All right, we will have a pre-stream for launch day, an evening stream for launch day. We are going to be covering a lot of things. The first video I ever release, which will be on the day subsequent to launch, will actually be all about the premium transactions in the shop. We'll actually be going through that in depth. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to use my code when the game drops. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I look forward to being your favorite official creator for the First Descendant. And if I'm not, that's okay. Please give me your feedback. I'm not very good at making videos. I may have a lot to improve on, but I will always give it my 110%. So at least when it comes to the content, you can expect that we will try and test everything as thoroughly as we possibly can. Thank you, and I'll see you guys soon.